The all-wheel drive Britpart Safari Championship is back, and with a packed entry for the opening round, it was going to be a great start to the season at Walters Arena in Wales. And for a change, it wasn't raining. Straight out to the course and to the action then, and starting the new season where he left off will be Jason Rowlands, winner in 2024 and leading the way once again now after the first two runs of the day. That lead will be over Aston Cox, a pre-season test for Aston, and it was going well so far. Second place, just 9 seconds off the lead, and not that testing, it had to be said, so far. That lead hadn't always been with Rowlands this morning though. Ryan Dunn led the way from the opening run with a small 3-second advantage, but that would come to an end on run 2 when damage to the suspension early into the run would cause him to stop with a very sorry looking car, taking a maximum time. It was game over for the day. Paul Rowlands certainly had mixed fortunes last season, some good results, but also a number of retirements, ultimately that would prove decisive. He'd be looking to put that right this season. He lies third at this stage. It's a good start. Just outside the podium positions for now will be Matthew Hall. Going well, lying in 4th place. Still a little way to catch Rowlands up ahead though. And with all those buggies up ahead in the 5B class, it would be Douglas Devenall Batt leading the way in the 5A class for the smaller engined cars. And after a second place overall finish last season, there'd be just one target. For now though, he'd be putting in some smooth and consistent runs to end up in 5th place. And just behind in that same class will be Jason and Deb Morgan. They themselves were half a minute back at this stage, but the time's getting faster as they went through the morning runs. Philippa and James Tennant were not happy with their run 1 time. Too much time out of the car over the winter and needing to get settled in. It was taking a bit longer than they planned. But they do still get to the end of the first 2 runs in 7th overall, going nearly a minute faster on run 2. Mick and George Chick joined the championship again, and they were leading the way in Class 7 after the morning runs. They were going well overall as well in 8th, 14 seconds back from Team Tennant. And Paddy Barker and Grant Hepburn were having to find a balance with the pace this weekend. They had no spare tyres, and with Walters Arena notorious for punctures, they'd have to try and pick their lines carefully. 5th in class for now, 9th overall. And rounding out the top 10 this morning will be Toby Cox, setting exactly the same time on both runs this morning. He looked to have settled into a comfortable rhythm early on. We move on then for the first time this season to some of the positions outside of the overall top 10 leaderboard. And it would be 11th place overall for Brian and Mitchell Birch. They would, however, snap a half shaft on run 1 and not realising it at the time would end up in rear-wheel drive for run 2. The car not exactly handling as well as they'd expected as they were down to rear-wheel drive. In Class 6, the lead would go to Samuel Herod and Adam Weaver. They have a small lead in that class from 12th place overall. And for Alan Kirkland, it would be 2nd in Class 8. Aston Cox up in 2nd place, of course, leading the class. So Alan ends the morning's opening 2 runs in 14th overall. We're back to Class 6, and it will be 2nd in that class for Lee Potter. Just half a minute back from Kirkland in the overall times as well. For Bruce Mallet, it was 2nd in Class 9. Toby Cox leading the way in the class. So Bruce will be around a run slower. He'd have to find something else to change that class position around. A big push, perhaps. This would mark the first Comp Safari event in 4 years for Tom Harriott, so understandably he was taking things easy for the first few runs, ending the morning 3rd in Class 9, 17th overall. Daryl Hardy and Claire Goulding were having some problems though. They'd break a drive shaft on the opening run of the day, which would set them back on the times. Thankfully not by too much, but they had some catching up to do. Third in Class 6 for now. Ben Davies, meanwhile, makes a switch from 2 wheels to 4, having raced superbikes on the circuits to his first Comp Safari event this weekend. And it was clearly going well, with the lead in Class 4. Partner Heather Jackson sharing some of the co-driving with Ben's brother too. And Owen Timms would make a steady start in 20th overall. The times on the second run of the course, almost a minute and a half faster. Ending run 2, third in Class 8. Problems on the second run of the day would see Cy Badge having to settle for third place in Class 7 for now. Based on his run 1 time, he'd have been inside the top 10 overall leaderboard, but that issue had cost him at least 4 minutes. For Paul and Tracy Johnson, it would be second place in Class 4, 22nd overall for now. And leading the way in Class 3 will be Brandon Barnwell. That would be down to him being the only one in the class, but the times were pretty strong overall as well. He lies in 25th on that overall leaderboard. There were a couple of crews battling it out in Class 1, and in the lead will be Martin Clark. It was a good lead as well, one that would be safe so long as nothing else happened on the car this weekend. Second in that class will be Shell Bailey, a couple of positions back overall in 29th place for now. Martin Tipples was pushing, and it was going well as far as the first run was concerned. Times putting him just outside the top 10 overall, but a bad time on run 2 would plummet him down the order and into 31st overall, third in Class 4. There wasn't really any good news to report in Class 2. Alan Mason would be in the lead of the class for now with 35th place overall. A significant loss of time on run 1, putting him down the leaderboard. Things would be worse, however, for Jonathan Harford and Daniel Drummond. They'd pull over early into the second run of the day and having to call it an early finish. The car refusing to start again. The pair would be going no further. We'd also lose Jess Halstead and Adam Bristow. This was only Jess's second ever Comp Safari event, so they were building up their confidence. They would, however, have to retire when a ball joint came undone on the car after just a couple of runs on the Waters Arena course. And we'd also see Ricky Fletcher having to pull over early into run 1. Not far from the start, in fact. But that did mean he was able to get the car back out once again once it was sorted. So 2 runs complete here at the start of the opening round of the season. For some, it was looking like a long season ahead as well. The results at the top of the leaderboard looking like this. On to the next couple of runs, and there'd be no change at the top. Jason Rowlands continuing to lead the way overall and in his class, with a lead of 26 seconds now. And that lead would still be over this man, Aston Cox, unable to catch the leader, but still going well and putting in some good times overall, leading the way in Class 8 still as well. No change either for Paul Rowlands. He keeps hold of third place, second in that 5B class. Douglas Devonall Batt would gain a little on the results, 1 place to be exact. They end run 4 in 4th overall, leading the way still in the 5A class. Still behind them and also gaining a position will be Jason and Deb Morgan. They were around a minute back from the class leaders, but still going well at this stage in the event. Philippa and James Tennant were happier with how things were going now, feeling that the pace was much closer to what they'd come here expecting. They end the morning 6th place overall, 3rd in class. Philippa doing all of the driving this weekend. And things were still heading in the right direction for Mick and George Chick. They lead the way in Class 7, moving up a position to 7th overall now as well. Just behind them will be Alan Kirkland, and that was enough to keep him lying 2nd place in Class 8 as well, moving the right way on the leaderboard with that pace. Brian and Mitchell Birch would fix that broken shaft from this morning, getting back out with 4-wheel drive operational again. And with help from Tim Pink and Andrew Warts in the service area, they end the morning with 9th overall, 2nd in Class 7. And rounding out the top 10 were Paddy Barker and Grant Hepburn, moving down the overall leaderboard slightly. But when they were trying to avoid getting a puncture, that was surely inevitable. Two more runs complete here then at a pretty fast but grueling Walters Arena course. The results at the top change a little. Here's how the leaderboard is shaping up. On we go to the final runs of the event then, here at the opening round, and a look at the overall class results. And it will be a 28th place overall finish on the leaderboard for Shell Bailey, taking 2nd place in Class 1. 2 maximums by the end of the day, not helping that overall position. There were some final run issues to contend with for Alan Mason as well, but he gets to the finish and takes the Class 2 victory, being the only one left, lying in 27th overall. Pretty respectable, given what he'd had to contend with today. And there was no change from Martin Clark. The Class 1 win was his, but it wasn't plain sailing by any stretch of the imagination. A maximum on the final run of the day, dropping him down the order a little. There was frustration for Paul Rowlands, though. The good luck would not continue, dropping down the order with 2 maximum run times to end the day. He finished with 20th overall. And it was much the same too for Aston Cox. 2 maximum runs putting him down the overall leaderboard into 19th place. Both our 2nd and 3rd place crews missing out in the final runs of the event. Putting that first run maximum firmly behind him, it was a good rest of the event for Ricky Fletcher, managing to take 3rd place in Class 4, 17th place on the leaderboard. Joshua Munn also had issues in the morning, the coil pack coming off on run 4. He'd get a maximum while trying to fix it midway through the course. Aside from that though, things were looking pretty good and the times were indeed fast. Okay, so it was a case of what could have been for Martin Tipples. That earlier problem would see him losing a good few positions on the leaderboard. But it started to climb back up the order, ending the event 15th overall, 2nd in Class 4. That is how you do damage limitation. This weekend would see a good debut in the new car from Tom Woodward. A new co-driver, Callum Oddy, alongside. They'd have a good run right up until the clutch exploding on the final run of the event, giving them a maximum. They do still take 14th overall, though, 3rd in Class 5A. And Ben and Jordan Davies were making a few small mistakes during the day, a couple of wrong turns costing them some valuable lost time. And that will be followed by a puncture later into the event. They eventually end the day 13th place overall, taking the Class 4 win. And when the times were going well, they were showing some good potential as far as the championship was concerned. No more issues, though, for Darryl Hardy and Claire Goulding, meaning that they were able to take 12th place overall, 2nd in Class 6 here at the opening round. No change either in the class for Cy Badge, still holding on to that 3rd spot in the class, just outside the top 10 leaderboard overall in 11th. We're on to the top 10 then, and what a fast top 10 it had been here at Walters Arena to kick off the championship. It will be a 10th place finish for Tom Harriott in the Milner. The car had been undergoing a 2-year rebuild after not being raced since 2017. There'll still be more to come and a few tweaks for the car, but for now, first finish of the season as well. A Class 9 win to start 2025. Samuel Herod and Adam Weaver gain a few positions on the overall results, missing a few from the top 10 in the afternoon. As you might remember, they move up to 9th place overall by the finish, taking the Class 6 victory. Paddy Barker and Grant Hepburn managed to avoid any real issues, including punctures, thankfully, which is always a bonus at this venue. They only had to add some fuel, kick the tyres, and a quick spanner check between runs. The car finished the day trouble-free, 8th overall, 2nd in Class 5A. Brian and Mitchell Birch, meanwhile, would have a spin on the final run in one of the narrow parts of the course. He'd have to reverse the car along one section just to get out. Thankfully, they did get the car turned back around, finishing with 2nd in Class 7, 7th place overall. And it was a good finish for Alan Kirkland, taking the Class 8 victory this weekend and finishing in 6th place overall. Mick and George Chick take 5th overall, and that would see them keep hold of the Class 7 lead to the finish of the event as well, to take that class win. All in all, a pretty good first round for Philippa and James Tennant, but they would have some drama. Run 5 will be red flagged, and they were sent back to service where they discovered a broken ball joint. Luckily, it hadn't fully gone on the course, and they were able to get it fixed with the help of fellow competitors and get back out there to take the 5A victory and 4th overall. Jason and Deb Morgan would score one of their best finishes to date. They'd managed to get themselves up into a podium position by the end of the day, taking 3rd overall here at the opening round. The top 2 positions then would reflect last season's championship results, with Douglas Devenall-Batt taking 2nd place this weekend. A good run, no issues to report, and some consistent times throughout the event, securing that runners-up spot. But taking victory will be Jason Rowlands, adding his first win to the new season, getting that tally underway and the defence of that title started. There was, of course, a long way to go, but this was the ideal start. So with round 1 complete, the results at the top looked like this.
Had a good weekend. On the second lap, the brakes went, and I stayed. Then Blade, Matthew Hawke, done his diff. Then I had the kids brakes off him. Yeah, been a good weekend and good. Yeah, I'm happy with the first ever win for the round 1. Yeah, really pleased. And thank you for Power Homes Racing, Paul Rowlands as well, and all the mechanics. So yeah, really pleased with it.
Yeah, we're steady away, not had any real problems. Belt temperatures I've been struggling with today, but other than that, mechanically it's ran lovely.
Yeah, a bit of a surprise because the times have been mixed up all day, so we didn't realise where we were until yourself had just come over and told us we were third. So yeah, happy in the end, I guess.
And how's the course been this weekend?
Very rough, as usual. Few problems, broken exhaust on the last lap, but it's waters.
Next up, the championship heads south to Bovington, a notoriously challenging round of the series. We will, of course, be there to bring you all of the action in the highlights package. But for now, thank you for watching.